Thanks to EA for sponsoring this video. Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. I decided to build apartment units, and these are inspired by New York, so they are supposed to look a little bit like brownstones. I built these in Brightchester on the lot which usually has the library on it. And in this video, I'm going to work on the exterior, and in the next video, I'm going to furnish and set up the apartment units because I'm going to separate this building into different apartment units so it can be used with for rent, and it's a proper apartment building with different units, and I'm just so excited to show you what I've created. And yeah, first in this video, we are going to work on the exterior. But before we continue, I just wanted to remind you that you can use my creator code Emerald in the EA app and thesims.com. You can use my code at checkout. Simply click on apply promo code and type in code Emerald to support me and my channel. I get a 5% commission, and during sales I get a 7% commission. There is currently a Black Friday sale which you don't want to miss. You can here see that you can save a lot on different Sims 4 packs, so make sure to check out the sale in the EA app and thesims.com. So my idea was to separate this into two parts because I really wanted to focus on the exterior, which is going to be pretty detailed, as you will see. And I also want to really focus on the interior because sometimes in a build like this, when you have so many units, there are so many details on the interior as well, because you have like one kitchen in each unit, one living room for each unit and everything. So I really wanted to focus on everything here. Let me know how you like this, because this is kind of something that I haven't done this often. So I'm always really excited to hear your feedback. And here at this point, I'm setting up the shape for our apartment buildings. I wanted them to be connected, just like you would see in a brownstone in New York, but I wanted the building to go around the corner. It just looks so much more pleasing to the eye. I also think it's fun to navigate a lot like this when you are playing in it, and I just wanted to have this type of setup. And you know how much I love these basements, and to remove the ceiling so I have a walkout basement situation. And when you think of brownstones in New York, you always have a basement and it's like opened up in the front and there's a fence going around it. So this is like right up my alley. I love to create this type of build, and this build is actually asking for it. Like when you think of a mansion or a regular residential house, the walkout basement does not always make sense, but this here, it makes sense. This brownstone needs a walkout basement, and I'm very excited about this. I've added some stairs on the outside on the left side. I really wanted this to look like a apartment building, so this is like where you would escape the house in case of a fire or something. And this will actually have a purpose because I'm going to add a community garden in the back, including a beautiful greenhouse, as you will see. And the Sims will be able to leave the apartment buildings and they can walk down the stairs and they can like directly enter the garden. So this is like a cool way to connect everything, because I didn't want the Sims to walk out and then they like have to walk all around the building. So I wanted to make sure to connect it a little bit. And here it's finally time for the walkout basement. As you just saw, I simply built a basement. I removed the ceiling by clicking on it, and then there's a yellow outline. You can simply click on remove ceiling. And after building the square basement, I simply placed a round room down there, and I removed the little triangular piece, which is kind of left when you do this. And that's it. I have a round basement, and you can see that it's not looking perfect at the top, like where the grass is meeting the wall. There's a tiny gap, which I'm going to hide later on. And I decided to use a fence from Vampires to have this round shape. I've used one from Debug because this type of fence is just an object and you can freely rotate it. In this way I could create the round shape, and I've then also used it for the other walkout basement areas. As you can here see, I'm simply placing it, and here at this point I wasn't really sure how big I wanted the basement situation to be on the right side, but I just laid it out a little bit so I could really like see how it's looking. And I then just expand different sections of a basement or a build. And here at this point, I'm starting to get the idea. I'm also starting to place lots of windows. I've used so many different window types here, from Lost Rock, Vampires, from high school years. The window from high school years is just perfect for an apartment building because it just looks like the type of window you would expect. There's only one problem. The high school years window has a feature, so you can place it and then a sim can climb out of the window. And when you place it without having a balcony below it or something, is giving you an error, like some type of gameplay error. And when this happened, I didn't make the connection at first, and I thought, oh no, there's something wrong. And I was kind of scared that something was wrong with the build or save file, but it was just the regular gameplay error for high school years for the windows. When you see it popping up here when I'm placing it, it's nothing to worry about. And here I'm building some custom cornerstones. I've used a pillar from, I think, Get to Work, and I've then used this wall decoration from high school years. I've used the black swatch for both. It was really easy to color match because it's just black, so you don't have a difference in the shade or something. I'm going to do the same thing in another part of the building in a brown color, which was really difficult to match because sometimes the brown is kind of warm leaning or cold leaning, and then you really have to match it, or it's lighter or darker or something. But I was able to find a match which kind of was okay and made me happy, but I was really trying to make it work and it was difficult. I've also placed the cornerstone over there. Back in the day, I always used the item from Jungle Adventure, which I'm also going to use here just to decorate the facade a little bit more. But I'm so happy that we now have this amazing item from high school years. And here I'm creating the brown cornerstone that I've talked about. And this was kind of the only good color match that I could find. It was really difficult. And I moved every single piece a little bit to the right and left, so there wasn't a gap between the item and the pillar. But I still placed every single item with the gap first, because then I knew that everything was kind of lining up horizontally. And I then just moved it around just a little nudge, so it was perfect. I then started to landscape a little bit. I was looking for different hedges, and I think the fun challenge about apartment buildings is to really make it a proper apartment building. And the most important part is probably the space right in front of the apartment, so you have some different items which really tie everything together. I've placed some bikes right in front of it, multiple of them, so it looks like there are multiple residents and they just placed their bike over there. I'm also going to place some debug cars and so much more, as you will see. And this build was all about details for me. And I've placed so many different objects, so many details. I've created the custom cornerstones. I've used the wall decoration from Jungle Adventure for this, different windows, a air conditioning unit, which I found and built by, just so many different items. Also, a combination of different friezes and trims going around the building, and I think it easily looks too much, and I really like to place so many different objects on a facade. I like to make it as detailed as possible, and I feel like this is kind of how I started out on YouTube as a builder. I was always talking about details, and I put so much on my builds. It's like when you have a Christmas tree and you use hundreds and hundreds of ornaments. It's just more is more, I guess. And I think I kind of went back to this here. I really tried to put in all the details without going overboard, because I feel like in a mansion, you can hardly go overboard. But when it comes to apartment buildings, it still has to make sense visually, because you have a combination of all these different windows and wallpapers, textures, details. And then when you just zoom out and look at it, it's stopping to make sense at some point. At least this is a problem for me. I think it's really difficult to build an apartment building. I feel like mansions come naturally to me, but not apartment buildings. So maybe this is why I'm talking about this, but this is kind of my personal struggle. So I still try to find a balance, even though I've used so many items here. And yeah, you just saw how I've used the little cube from the Desert Lux kit to have the gap hidden that I mentioned earlier, because when you do this little basement trick, you have this gap, and I just placed it. Also, because more is more, I just wanted to use even more items here. And I also used a big sized up window, as you just saw. And this window is probably from Discover University. And when you size windows up, there's one problem. You have like a hole in the wall in the original size of your window, and then the rest, the frame, is kind of sized up. And I still decided to do it this way because I simply placed 3 base game windows on the inside to make it functional. And this will be really fun in the next video when I'm going to furnish this, because I was just so happy that I made it work. It's just looking so fun. I placed a fence from Life and Death around this, and there is also one in the pack which is not from Debug, but for whatever reason, ever since the pack came out, I just fell in love with this specific fence, and I have these little pillars which are like a part of it, and I can create custom shapes. I'm just really happy with it. And here at this point, my idea was to have the apartment building, and then I have like a street section right in front of it, and I connected everything by using this round foundation piece. I just applied a fence and a different color, so it's kind of separated, but we have the apartment building, we have the square right in front of it, kind of like a community space, and then we have this wonderful street, also some cars which are parked, and I just wanted to make it look like a proper apartment building. As I mentioned earlier, this is probably the most important part about an apartment building. I also decided to litter the space a little bit. Don't do that, don't litter, always use a trash can, but I just wanted to create a cityscape here. I just wanted this to look realistic, so I was trying to place a graffiti and just different items to really tie it all together. And here I'm using a round foundation piece to just have a little flower bed essentially. And when I did this, I noticed that it was not lining up at all with the custom fence that I had placed from Life and Death. So I was moving everything around a little bit, and I just wanted to place a big tree from Life and Death Debug in there, and then I just wanted to build a greenhouse. So this is a community space, like a community garden. I'm going to place some benches, a barbecue grill, and you can of course add to this depending on what you need for your Sims, but I just wanted to have a little garden which doesn't look too much like a proper garden. We are still like in the middle of Manhattan, like in the storyline of this build, so I still wanted this to look not too green and lush and everything. It's still looking like something in a city, but I totally wanted to include something like this. And this video is slowly coming to an end. This is part 1 of this video where I'm working on the exterior, and in the next video we are going to furnish. And before this video ends, I want to once again remind you that you can use code Emerald at checkout in the EA app and thesims.com to support me and my channel. You can apply the code and I get a 5% commission, and during sales I get a 7% commission. And right now there is a Black Friday sale going on, so don't forget to check out all the amazing packs. And in case you want to use my code, thank you so much for your support. It means the world to me. And here you can see lots of screenshots of the exterior. I hope you've enjoyed this build. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Leave a comment down below what you think. I'm always excited to hear your feedback. And I hope you come back tomorrow to watch me furnish this. I'm so excited to show you the furnishing process. I love you all so much. I hope you're doing so well, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.